How we go? My bad, y'all. Let's see. Un momento. Sorry about that. Sometimes this phone be jinking. I can't help it, y'all. I'm sorry. I apologize. How y'all doing, beautiful ones? Thank you, Aboriginal Leo. How you doing, beloved? How you doing? Let's see. So now, let's see what. Let me give y'all a couple more links. Let's see. This one here. This talks about colonial social constructs. It has also to link family heritage services. Um, Also, get in touch with the Office of Burial um, and Graveyard Management. You definitely want to, on cemetery management, you want to find out because sometimes they don't have potter's fields anymore. So also, y'all, it's good to make sure y'all know how y'all going to bury your elders, right? Because they don't have potter's fields. They don't have those anymore. So you should know, what your folks is doing and how that's going to go down from here on out. I'm going to drop the links in the chat, this right here. This has a lot of colonial court records, very interesting caveats. And that's from houseofancestry.org. Sometimes this simplifies it for people. Not everybody knows where to look. So I'll just, give you some things. And once you start looking at these things and oh, this is a good one too. I don't know if you guys have JSTOR, but this one here is pretty good too. So I dropped the House of Ancestry link, and now this JSTOR book is going to be another reference that I'm dropping. Genesis, yes, I have seen that name. I have Shawnee relatives also. Genesis American. Matter of fact, let me see. Let me go right here. I'm cornstalk. I have the cornstalks. And even those Shawnees still end up back at the Powhatan Confederation. I don't know if you know that, but a lot of them spent time. Let me charge this up. A lot of them spent time in different places that a lot of people probably aren't aware of, like, Ohio and Indiana and stuff like that. So you find a lot of things too also when you check out the collateral lines. The collateral lines are the people outside of, your immediate grandparents and stuff like that. So you always want to check those collateral lines. That's gonna make sure that you can always keep in touch with somebody, right? So if you get a spot, you always want to keep in touch with somebody. If it's the uncle, if you lose the women, and keep in mind, I'm telling y'all, grandmas had 2 and 3 and 4 5 husbands. They had 4 and 5 baby daddies too. Believe that shit or not. Granddaddy had about 1,500 kids. Okay, 11 kids, all over the place, in places where they went to work. Not very often do people get to live to see themselves on the census. It comes out every 72 years. And I explained that before, that you have to live at least 8 decades in order to see yourself on one census. Welcome back, beloved. Parental discretion is advised. About to smoke my lever. Let me get them corn stalks up too. Give me 1 second. If a possum come, y'all, I'm running. I'm telling y'all right now. Don't laugh. Let me send y'all something else too. You know, take these links. Dang. Okay, I think I jacked that up. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, I'm supposed to be. This is a good one too. And this one is free blacks in antebellum Savannah and the economic profile. That won't hurt you. You know, get you some healthy food in. The harvest just passed. Have you some fresh vegetables and stuff like that. It's time to hibernate, the weather changing and shit like that. And now you got some spicy meatballs that you can read. Let's see. So here's another one of those things I call obscure books. But I was able to find some family members. So, 1 second. It's getting chilly out here. It's almost leather jacket weather out here. Like, for real, for real. You know, after 6 p.m. in Los Angeles, everybody got on a some kind of North Face, some kind of North Face jacket. They got something on. Okay. That sucks. I'll get to that screen share. I'm gonna get it from that other channel, but I definitely want to share some of these links with y'all. Make it easy for you. That's their state census. Before they make it public, it's every 72 years. You can look at the Census Bureau through the Department of Commerce, MJ Jones. That might be the Louisiana state census that they release every 50 years, in which case that's good. That could be very profitable specifically because there are a lot of people that live at least until, their 60s or 70s, so they'll be able to see different family members. So especially within that state. There's also the state censuses. New York did them every, I think, bi biannually. There was a lot of states did them biannually. Some did them sequentially, and then of course they had the U.S. federal census every 10 years. So, with respect to the 20-year gap in between 1880 and 1900, because the 1890 census burned. So there were wars and stuff like that, and you definitely want to check that out. You definitely want to check them out. Hold on a second, let me get some. You definitely want to check that out. And then look at some of the things that was going on, like, in Georgia, um, which was one of the only British colonies that didn't want slavery for a very long time. So you can imagine, I just wrote a couple of links down. You can imagine how some of the things were politically run. Let's see. We're going to put together some kind of the Cuban Wars. You definitely want to check out those Cuban Wars too. So now that was the first time they lost against the Spanish, but there was also one with 1879 and 1880. So definitely want to look at fold3.com. You can also go back. I dropped the link to the National Archives in there, and you can look at some of the military records. There's always going to be some sort of documentation regarding those military records that identify the men, especially if they participated in the draft or they didn't have any choice based off of certain conscription laws. I know I just found out in New York a lot of things caught on fire. There was a really huge riot. I don't know if people paid attention to gangs in New York, but that movie spoke like absolute volumes. And also in the movie, and that's probably why it didn't do well in the box office. That might be why it didn't do well in the box office, specifically because it gave up so much information. I think that might have been Leonardo DiCaprio's probably worst movie to date, that hasn't really made a lot of money. So, let's see. I think this is the wrong book. This is just a... Now, also, you don't find a plethora of things about the pensions for the Confederate soldiers. You want to look into that, because I do believe that it was supposed to be perpetual and descendable. So if you look at those constitutions, like Bernie Choctaw told us, especially in the southern states, that it says even in your absence, if whatever you have belongs to you is not there, that you have to give just compensation. You get just compensation. So if there's something that there's a Walmart built on top of your shit, there's something you got to get. And if it's no longer available for your use, and it wasn't sold directly from family, When you have those homestead certificates, then that makes it null and void. You need to check that in quite a few of those Southern constitutions. It tells you specifically about the property laws. They have them. They are available. Let's see. Okay. Now these are Tennessee Indians. I got Squirrel King, Chickasaw Nation. Tennessee has so much stuff that you wouldn't even believe. Drop. Let me see again. So I'm looking on this, and this is from the 1700s. Um, so I don't see Blue Jacket to answer your question. However, this is written in Spanish. This was actually in the Spanish ancestry, so you guys are going to have to use a translator. Let me see. It is not going to let me copy and paste it. And these are just like the descendants of the Shawnee Howatan, the Carpenters and Moitors. It's not going to let me, it's too big. It's not going to let me drop it in the chat. Okay, scrap that. I'll figure out how to get. This one was good. Let's see. Still probably too long. Okay. Let me try it anyway. This one is early history of Boston. They have a lot of volumes. I needed, the information I needed was in volume 29. So, let me see if it'll let me drop it in. I hope it's not too big. Okay, so it has to be 200 characters, and this is 231. I don't know how it's gonna work. Don't know how that's gonna work. Okay, that's another one I can't drop. But I just gave you the name of the book. You definitely want to get that. Early history of Boston. Let me see. This one right here. This is from the Michigan Journal of Race and Law, volume 21, issue 1. And it's called Without Representation, No Taxation, Free Blacks, Tax and Tax Exemptions Between Revolutionary and Civil Wars. So, take what's good, throw the rest away. That's a good one there, though. Definitely something that you could sink your teeth into. And if you have anything to debunk it, then do that, because I really need to read it probably like 4 or 5 more times. In which case, okay. Yes, so it's going to give you some case laws and stuff like that. Hi, Lorenzo. Halito, beloved. So it has case law and stuff like that. So I think that y'all will enjoy that. Y'all will enjoy that. And y'all got stuff to look at. Um it'll point you in a direction to start looking, prompt you to start looking at the court records and stuff like that. Real important. Very, very important. That's a fact. John Henry Clark was Chickasaw. That's right. I brought that up some years ago. I got kicked out of every so-called pro-black room on the planet after which, whatever. Oh, come on, bloodline, house of Israel. Bloodline of the house of David in my veins. Come on, honey. Don't do that. You gotta prove that to me. You gotta prove that, honey. You gotta prove that with somebody that you related to prove that to be true. So, and I'm back in BC time. I don't remember if it was 938 or 983 BC. So I didn't see none of them. I did see a what's his name? What's that name? Josephus. I did see that. I did see one of those names. But yeah, all that other stuff they wasn't saying that back then. That's not what the Mormons are saying, right? When you find them colonizers that politically or married into your family or had children with your folks, right? Then you will know damn well that that ain't what happened. You'll know that ain't what happened, honey. Alvin Pacheco, Jalito, you know, you won't you won't be wrong in getting as much information as you can on your folks. You can always go back, just build a tree. You ain't got to be thirst mode and spend a whole year on one particular set of relatives. You know what I'm saying? You look at everybody that's in your immediate. It doubles every year. Hi, Nicole, Halito. It doubles every year. So then in that instance, every ancestor, it doubles. So you go from 4 grandparents to 8 to 16 to 32, right? So you got to 64. You got to keep multiplying and multiplying. So after it's like thousands of people that you'll end up keeping up with, you'll be lucky to come up with at least 4 to 5 solid lines that's directly related. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, because there's going to be some that are um, they are absolutely going to be. Here we go. Is this it? Okay, so let me drop this article right here. The 2020 census is in deep trouble and tribes will lose big. Now listen to this. In Albuquerque, American Indians and Alaska Natives are undercounted during the best of circumstances when the U.S. conducts its once-a-decade count. But what about this year? The 2020 census is in trouble. It's been in trouble for a while, said Norm DeWeaver. DeWeaver is a consultant. He served on census advisory boards and was a speaker at the Native Power Building Summit last week. Dr. Weaver said the census troubles have been brewing for several years because Congress hasn't wanted to spend enough money. The main moral which I've been trying to get across to anybody I have dealings with is that tribes and native organizations are going to have to do a lot more work to ensure an adequate count of all native people in 2020 than they ever had to do in 2010, he said. The stakes are significant. One estimate says that every tribal citizen who is not counted will cost their tribal government some $3,000 in lost federal support for services. The thing is that the thing that's so problematic about this is that our starting point was that from the 2010 census, there was an undercount estimated by Census of people living on tribal lands of 4.9%. We actually think that it was a much higher than that, but that was what the census tells us. It's twice the number of the next closest population report that was undercounted. When you have a 4.9% deficit, you're starting with, you don't start off by saying, we're going to address that by cutting funding, and we're going to cut operations that are going to help us, specifically key to Indian country, to make sure they get a full enumeration. So all is, they still don't have the federal the accurate numbers, right? You know why? You know what that means? That means they claiming Hispanic, Chicano, all this other stuff. That's what that means. They're claiming something else. So why aren't they just so, the numbers? Why aren't the numbers astounding? Don't make sense. Don't make sense. Don't make sense. Don't add up. Over 500 recognized tribes. Over 500 of them. So how come those numbers aren't up? How come those numbers aren't up? And they get federal assistance. They get federal assistance. That's federal assistance. So I'm having a hard time. Drop this in there. So that was just a little caveat about what they're saying about the census. And you know what they're afraid of? They're afraid of us, right? Knowing that we have been making sure we stay on top of our shit. That's what they're afraid of. So you know they got to threaten them with a couple dollars, right? Got to threaten them. Hit them in the pockets. Hit them in the pockets. That was the whole point of the matter. That was the whole point of the matter. So, let me see. I got a couple other things. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Then I'm gonna get from around. Let's see something. Alright, no. I think that is all. Let me see something. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it, party people. I think that is all. But you already know what it is. Chihululi, love, peace, and hair grease. Let's see. Okay, there's that little article. In case I didn't already drop it. Okay, I think I did. I got it twice. But you know, I want y'all. Hi, Freeze. Halito, beloved. LL Lewis. You and LaQuisha. Hey, beloved. Long time no see. Sure, you gotta give me a second. We're still doing this little website together, getting all that Chihululi, Chief Black Wolf Star. Um, and I think everybody be able to get it right. They be able to get it right. I think that'll work for y'all. So I'll get that together. Yeah, way too much. Way too much. Zap them out. Zap them out. Good to see you, Freeze. Good to see you. Feathers up, David. All right, y'all beautiful ones. I'm Grego. Chad, what's up, Chad? I'm Grego. My night's about ended. I'm up way past my bedtime. But just wanted to share some of those things. I'm gonna start building up the library so y'all can make sure y'all have, something to deal with. Not too stressful, but very informative, and start pointing y'all in the direction and start looking for some of the tools and some of the things that you find, no matter how obscure they are. There's a lot to be said in them. Chihululi.